It feels like a Thursday, and you know what that means.
Well, today it's Q&A time with Carter and Taylor. That kind of Thursday.
Spark Live time. Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to this one. There's some really good questions, and I have a puppy dog underneath me today.
Aw.
So my wife is out of town, and so my puppy dog's underneath, giving me the paw, which means I gotta reach down here and give him a little love.
I understand the paw.
Yep.
The universal sign for love me.
That's it.
Well, let me just thank everybody real quick for being on. As you're coming in, just give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a hey in the comments. Let us know that you're there so we can acknowledge you. And thanks for being here. This is the Q&A session, the monthly Q&A. So we're taking questions from you, from clients, from people that we've talked to during the weeks and months and even years. Commonly asked questions and things that we want to bring up to your attention, things that we think we know when one person has the question, a lot of people have the question. So our Q&A is always a good chance to just dive into those.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this one. So we're just going to get right into it because I love this first one because I've got some really good information on it. That's one of the reasons I love it. I know I should be doing more videos for my business, but how do I get more comfortable in front of the camera? So let me just take the first part. I know I should be doing more videos for my business. Guys, they did a survey. It comes from HubSpot. That did you know that 9 out of 10 people want more videos from a brand? That's what they're looking for. I was kind of shocked over that. I figured it'd be 6 or 7 because I do know that it's more, but 9 out of 10. I mean, that was shocking to me. What that says though is people are really looking at videos. So it is important that you are doing more videos for your business. I think that is something that we need to really look at. So now let's go to the second part. How do I get more comfortable in front of a camera? From personal experience, sorry, you get in front of a camera. That's how you do it. I mean, you just do it. And, after a while, once you've heard yourself, even today, guys, I will tell you, when I see myself in a photo, when I see myself online and, talking and doing whatever, I'm always like, who is that hick talking? Because to me, I'm not a hick. I don't sound like a hick, right? But when I hear myself, oh yeah, I am Texan, Southern all the way, and I can't get rid of it. Don't know how to get rid of it. So I just have to accept it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just part of it. So part of it is just accepting who you are, knowing that people are going to accept you for who you are, and it's okay. You really can't, unless you're being disagreeable or, not being what you should be as a business owner anyway, you're going to be all right. But you just got to get in front of a camera and do it.
Yeah, that's it. I will say that one of the other things that helps you get more used to it, and it can be painful in the beginning, but watch what you record. I mean, literally just watch it several times. Pay attention to some of the things that you're doing when you speak. You may not realize that you do certain things. You may not realize that you say something over and over and over again, whether it's ums or knows or things like that. But when you pay attention to those things, you start thinking a little more critically about your voice. In other words, it's not you're putting it at arm's length, I guess is one way of saying it, right? You're not being critical about you. You're being critical about that guy who's talking or that person who's talking there on the screen. You're watching what they're doing and you're thinking critically about what could be done better, or how could we make this better, how could we improve this? And that for some people is helpful. Other people, you might get in your head a little bit. But I will say that the more you watch and listen to yourself as a recording, because it feels so unfamiliar and it feels so strange the first few times you do it, the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. The more you just start going, yeah, I know I don't particularly like it, but that's just what it is, and it's fine, and let's just keep doing this. So repetitive, watching and recording and watching and recording and watching. That's just, you get better by doing.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting because I look back on my kids when they were learning to ride bicycles and how many times they fell, how many times, I had to catch them, how many times, but they kept getting back on the bike, getting back on the bike, getting back on the bike. And what I find is as we get adults, we become adults and all of a sudden that self-critic comes in and it's terrible. It stops us from doing the things that we know we need to do, whether it's getting on video, whether it's making, follow-up calls, whatever, because we're so afraid of what people are going to think about us or, making a fool of ourselves or whatever. And yet as kids, we did all kinds of things, trial and error to be able to come better and better at those things that we wanted to do. So just remember that. I mean, I think it's part of the human experience. And just know that it's okay. It's okay to fall every once in a while. You just get up and do it again.
Yeah. As a bonus, I'll say there are methods of recording video and good content that don't necessarily require you to be in front of the camera.
That's true.
I've seen lots of great, compelling video where somebody has literally got their phone and they're videoing something else. They may narrate it and talk as they're videoing their subject or the thing that they're wanting people to see, but they're not even in the shot. So that's an acceptable way to create good, compelling content too, if what you're videoing is truly compelling content. So, there's ways to get around that handicap if it really sticks with you and you just can't bear it. Doesn't mean it's not an excuse to not ever do video.
That's absolutely 100% right. 100%. So let's go to the next one. How do I take better photos that tell the full story of what we do? You want to take this one?
Well, there's a lot in that question, right? I mean, we could talk about gear, we could talk about technique, we could talk about position and where you stand when you take certain photos, things like that. I'll start with. So one of the excuses that we get is, well, I don't take a lot of photos because all I have is my phone. I don't have a really good camera. Have you seen the quality of video on these new, iPhones?
Yeah.
I mean, about three phones ago, I stopped even pulling out my DSLR and my big camera rig. I mean, yeah, it still takes better pictures, but these cameras take such good pictures now, such high resolution. Just the manipulation and editing that goes on in the image right there when you take it on the phone is pretty amazing. So there's just not a reason to, you don't have to afford. I mean, if you have a late model smartphone, you're going to be fine just learning how to use that and taking photos and videos with that. So let's just dispatch with the excuse about equipment. As far as technique and things like that, yeah, it's worth taking a little bit of time. There are some great free YouTube series, guys, and I've seen them on Instagram as well. They just teach you how to take compelling photos for social media or for video, and they'll walk you through with smartphones. They'll show you how to use a smartphone to get really good quality. Some of them even cinematographic quality. It blows me away with what some of them are doing, but it's free. It's free to learn how to use your camera better. And you can certainly go do that, spend a little bit of time and get, big returns in terms of the quality of your shooting.
I think it's interesting too. There are people out there shooting broadcast quality commercials and even movies. Shorts and movies on cameras, on phones, camera phones. So
more and more, we're seeing that. Yeah,
it's really awesome. The thing that I would tell you is, if you want to tell a story, then tell the story with multiple photos. If all I showed you was a before and after of my house after my renovation from the front, you would go, oh, wow. But if I showed you the before and the front of my house, and also I showed you the before inside my house, and maybe a couple of during, and then the after of what everything looked like afterward, it would be, oh my gosh, wow, that's awesome. You know? So my point is to tell the full story, you have to have multiple pictures. You know, to tell a quick story, before and after is great. But here's the real key with before and after. Unless it's like a renovations type thing where you're taking multiple pictures of things, take just some painter's tape, put it on the floor so that you're taking the same angle, taking that picture. Because a lot of times, if I take a picture of something from X angle, if I'm on a roof, okay, if I'm a roofer or a chimney guy and I'm sitting there on a roof and I'm taking a picture that is a before picture, but my after picture is on the other side, it doesn't look like it's the same chimney or the same roof a lot of times. So that's why it's really important to mark that spot where you took the before so that you can be at the same place and take the after, because our brains look at that and go, that's not a lot. And it's just the way our brains work. You
Pay
know,
attention to how high you're holding the camera too. You may
yeah,
be standing right on the same, spot that you taped on the floor, but if you took the first picture way up above your head, and then the second picture way down here by your belt, you're going to get a different perspective with the camera, and it may not look like the same shot. It becomes less compelling if people
yeah.
can't really compare apples to apples.
And I read a really nice article. It's been years ago talking about how our eyes, we all say we see with our eyes, which is not true. Our eyes are really lenses. We see with our brains. So it's the part of our brain that's actually taking the images through our eyes and processing it, just like a computer in the back of our brains. And so what happens is if we are at different angles, it doesn't compute that it's the same thing. So that was really something that I'd never thought of until I'd read that article about how important it is to come as close to that angle as possible so that people very quickly know that this is the before and after of the same thing. And especially, I've seen some hearth things with redoing some fireplaces that even from the same angle, they don't look anything alike because the redo was so spectacular. So on those, it really is important to have a couple of other pictures, even if it's just a before and after, to have a few filler pictures in there so that people can see that it's really all just one place.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. We have some comments. What do we got? Oh, Mr. Eisenhower's on here. Zig Ziglar is quoted. If you have to be great to start, that's right. But to get great, you have to start. That's a great quote. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. That really is true. Always looked at it from the standpoint of what do I want the pictures to say. Perfect, Mike. I think that is absolutely great. Glad to see both you guys on here. Good to see you both. So let's go to this next one, Carter, and I'm pretty much going to take this one because you're going to have to take the next one, and I'm not even going to talk about the next one.
Okay.
So, and feel free to jump in here too. You have any tips on getting my text to ask for reviews? All right, here's my number one tip. So a lot of you guys don't know this, but I'm now a certified business coach. So I'm going to tell you from a certified business coach's point of view, not a marketer. Here's my number one tip: leadership. If you have leadership in your business and you've got your standard operating procedures in line and those SOPs say, ask the person for a review and your techs aren't doing it, that's the problem. You either don't have really good SOPs, your leadership isn't what it needs to be, and the last thing, and Jerry, you're going to love this, you got to inspect what you expect. If you aren't doing those three things, then yeah, it's your fault. And 100%. this whole deal of, how do I get my text to do something? Anything, reviews, it doesn't matter what it is. How you get them to do that is just part of their job. And I'll just tell you from a business owner, there are times that I get to traveling and doing everything, and I have to stop and start inspecting what I expect. And sometimes what I find is not what I want to be there. So I have to go back into that. This is me talking to me too, because I'm not perfect. But man, that is so absolutely important. So yeah, you expect your text to ask for reviews, period. And if you want to, and it's up to you if you want to, give them some stipend or whatever. And I mean, that's all up to you if you want to bonus them and whatnot. But the first thing is you just got to make it a rule.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's part of our culture. It's what we do here. It's expected, but you can also spiff it. And when you think about the value of a good quality review, when you think about like how many thousands of dollars that review will be worth to the business in the short term, you start to get a view of, I could spiff, a really good, amount of money here for every positive review that my people get. The other thing that I've heard that people do, and I like this idea as well, is, look, when it comes time for your employee review, we take into account not only what your coworkers and your managers here, evaluate you as, but we also look at at any reviews that have mentioned you specifically as a technician in the home, because we want to know how our customers feel about the service that you're providing and your competency as an employee here. So the more of those there are, the more likely you are to advance here. So you need to make it a part of your job to get those reviews, because your review as an employee is dependent on the feedback that we get from our customers.
Yeah, and again, I'm just going to throw this in. Reviews are so important, guys. Right Local just came out with their study for the year, and when you are a home service businesses, more people will look for your reviews in home service businesses than anything else. I was shocked. There are more people will look at reviews and determine if they're going to let you into their home than they're reviewing doctors. So, that's how important it is for you to have really good reviews for your customers. That was another thing. It was like, wow, you think that if you don't think being a home service business, that reviews are important. Yeah, they're important. So tell me about, how does call tracking work?
Man, I know more about this subject than I ever wanted to know.
Yeah. And do I need anything to do it? I mean, and I know that it can be can be a hornet's nest.
Yes, it can. And there's lots of tools that make it easier. And it's great when those tools work right. It can be a pain in the backside when they don't work right. And we've had some experience with that, unfortunately, too. So essentially, call tracking is any way that you have for knowing when someone calls a specific number, it's because of this particular marketing campaign or this particular source that they're coming from. So however you tally that, however you secure those numbers, however you distribute those numbers or use them out in the world is completely up to you. It really just depends on what you care most about tracking. But the typical things that you want to track are, from online sources, such as your website, such as Facebook ads, Google ads, your Google business profile, other sources online or directories that are, large sources of traffic for you or new customers, as well as offline stuff like, putting a tracking number on your truck, putting a tracking number on a yard sign, putting, tracking numbers on billboards, television advertising, magazines, brochures, all sorts of things like that, where tracking numbers can be used. They can be recycled. They can be reused. Once you get one, you should hold on to it, because people these days with mobile phones, when they dial a number, they oftentimes will just save it to their contact book, their phone book on their phone immediately. So now you're in their address book, and if they ever need to call you again, instead of going out to the website to find your phone number, they go to their contacts to call you. So if you've stopped using a tracking number and it's no longer associated with your business, I guarantee you're losing business as a result. So you do want to hold on to those. The online systems that run tracking are all pretty much, they're very similar one to the next. Some of them have different advantages and disadvantages, but what you need to know is these systems allow you to easily purchase a phone number in your zip code in your area, and then associate that business with that phone number with your business, so that anybody that calls it rings into the service first. The service then sees that it's a call coming in for you on that number. It starts recording the call. That's usually an option with most of these services. And then it forwards the phone call to your primary number, which rings in your office on your, through your normal phone system. So that's the way that it typically works. It's a forwarding service that records the call in the middle. And that's mostly what you need to know. There are lots of other features and things that you can use to track those phone calls. Some of them are more intelligent than others. Some of them, even these days, have AI baked into them, so that while the recording is going on, AI is listening and actually transcribing the call and doing analysis on the call to see whether or not a customer's questions have been answered, to find out whether or not the person answering the phone is doing a good job following a script or whatever. So there's lots of cool tools that are getting baked into it now. But, ultimately all you need are phone numbers, and you can get those from your current phone provider, but it's certainly easier to use these online services and then just have them forwarded to your office lines.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask a follow-up question that you probably weren't prepared for, because I get this all the time and I have a hard time explaining it. That's why I always send them to you. On the website, my number keeps changing. Yeah. I don't know why my number keeps changing. Explain why your number changes when you have call tracking on a website.
Yeah, that is a good question, and it's one that's very frequent. So when you have a phone number in your office, like this, that rings into your office, chances are you have 3 or 4 other numbers that are just quietly sitting there that are what are called rollover numbers or hunt group numbers, right? So that means that if multiple people are calling into your office simultaneously and they're all calling the main number, it rolls it over to one of those backup numbers, one of those hunt group numbers, so that you can handle the call load. That way 4 or 5 people can be talking to people in your office simultaneously without any one of them having received a busy signal, okay? So essentially the reason that we have a pool of numbers on your website is for that exact reason. The script is intelligent enough to know, so we put up a phone number, somebody calls that number, the script knows, okay, that number is currently in use. So the next person that visits the website during that time while that other number is being used, we're going to show a different number in the pool so that they can call that number and it won't give them a busy signal. So depending on the load of traffic that you get, the load of phone calls that you get from your website, you'll probably need anywhere from 4 on the low end, and we've seen as many as 12 to 15 on the high end for really large, high volume call businesses. So they're very inexpensive, and it's really a very inexpensive way of making sure that you can track all the calls coming from your website successfully without anybody getting a busy signal or not being able to connect with you.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I'm still going to send them to you to explain it.
Okay.
What's the best way to get photos and videos to my marketing company? Well, I can tell you to our marketing company any way you want to. If you want to text them to us, if you want to email to us, if you want to put it in Dropbox, we really don't care. We just want to get them. That's kind of one of those things. When I go out and do shoots, I try to find 2 or 3 of the technicians and show them some of the things they could be doing along the way. And that's one of the questions I get a lot out there is, how in the world do I get these to you? And so let me just tell you, the real important thing is get them to us. And I think every marketing company that I know of struggles with this. I don't know anybody, not one, that I've ever asked this question to that has said, "Oh yeah, I don't have any problem with anybody getting." They just send them to me all the time. Get videos, photos. They're just coming to me like en masse. That is not the answer. Everybody has the same problem. So just get it to us. Whatever, however you want to, you let your marketing company know, this is how I prefer to get these to you, and they should say, "Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am."
That's it. It's the old Journey song. Any way you want it, that's the way we'll, or whatever. It's,
That's it.
That's it. I mean, if you could send them via smoke signals, I'd say do it. And that's our policy here is, if a client would prefer to, create a Dropbox account and make you as their account owner have access to that Dropbox account so they can just throw all their photos in their Dropbox and then you have access to whatever you need anytime, that's great. Some prefer to let us create a Dropbox account, then share it with them, and then they can upload photos to that directly. We have a lot that do it that way. But by far the most common way is snapping a photo on your phone and texting it to your account manager, So, yeah. I mean, that's ultimately, if your marketing company is trying to force you into really complicated ways of sending them stuff, then they have to know that most of their clients are just not going to adopt those systems and adapt to that kind of workflow. They're going to miss out on a lot of good content. So our policy is, any way you want it, that's the way you're going to get it from us.
Yep. We want to make it as easy as we can for you. That is the truth. So, well, no other questions have come in, so we're just going to go on, because Spark Live, it's released as a podcast. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podfine, or your favorite player. Next week, we are going to be talking about blogging. Should I be blogging as a home service provider? So we're going to talk about, actually, Carter's going to talk about it. I'm going to be on another shoot. So he'll have all the information that he needs to have a great Spark Live with you, talking about if you should be blogging as a home provider. So guys, thank you again so much. Tanya, saw you. Glad to see you're here. Miss you. Hope to see you sometime. And for all the rest of you, man, have a great rest of your week. We hope it's a wonderful time of year, getting into fall. It's getting cooler. I know I like it. It's those cool mornings. So I hope you guys are all enjoying it. Talk to you next week.
Bye, everybody.